Yo, what is going on, homies? It's your boy StumpD back for the OPTC video, and in today's video, we're taking a look at the new PvP legend that is SHAWK, Seraphim Mihawk. And I gotta say, this guy is one of the best PvP legends we've seen in a very, very long time. And look, Rise of Shinobu were good, and they only came out not too long ago. However, Rise of Shinobu boosted, or they do boost, shooters. Now, they are a slasher, and you can use them on, like, rainbow teams and stuff. They do some really, really cool stuff with action binding, but with the PvP update of 20 cost PvP legends, we can now run a disgusting slasher team that looks a little bit like this. We have a lot of Super Sugos, we have a lot of exclusive legends, we have a lot of exclusive characters, plus, you can do a lot of really, really cool stuff with your bench. So we're going to start off first seeing a strength team. Strength were pretty much untouchable until this guy became a thing. Like, 13,000 damage just through defense, which is absolutely ludicrous. Now, I did get my Seraphim Mihawk to level 110 because he does so much goddamn damage. As you can see, he absolutely peppered Kobe. Kobe gave haste to Luffy, and not only is he really good at doing damage, but he allows the team a bunch of defense, and that allows you to tank stuff like Luffy shots. Well, it goes through defense, but he also gets HP, which helps you tank stuff like Luffy. It's wild how much this character brings to the forefront of the front lineup. And when you partner him with stuff like Whitebeard Roger, when you partner him with stuff with K-Dad and Odin, he can do some absolutely absurd things. On top of that, you can then run like an 8-man bench system. You can do some really, really fun stuff with ints. I will do another showcase on int slashes. I wish I had PvP Brook, but I don't. That's why you see that Usopp down there as my 4th int character for Cap Viper, as well as the criteria for Zoro Sanji. He's basically just replaceable with PvP Brook if you guys have PvP Brook. But SHAWK, what does he do? As you can see, we actually managed to take down this strength team, even whilst taking a haste ability, a Luffy shot, and all of that nasty stuff. But in PvP, he does give int characters level 6 HP, and then 5 defense and speed down debuff 2 slashes. And then he also gives level... Am I looking at the right character here? Yeah, I am. Alright, well... Alright, so it's an error in the database. That makes a lot more sense. Solaris, if you're watching this, you got an error in the database. He actually gives level 5 defense buff to your slasher units, as well as a level 5 speed buff. And then when his HP is 50% or below, he gives level 5 attack buff to the entire team as well, which is really, really nice. But when you are slapping him in the middle, getting that extra HP buff, getting that extra defensive buff, on a 28-second cooldown, a minuscule 28-second cooldown, he applies level 7 defense buff to the crew. I believe it's just himself that he does that. Restores 600 damage to himself for every 5 seconds for 15 seconds. And then he does 2.5 times attack that will ignore defense to 3 enemies with the highest attack. So as you can see there, he always goes to the monster trio when you are taking on the Free Spirit team. And the upside to taking on the Free Spirit now is that if he doesn't go super early, and Nami Karina does go before him, Roger and Whitebeard will be the one character that doesn't get special reversed. This 28-second cooldown for what he does is absolutely absurd. It is basically just a much better version of what Kuma is. Like, and when I say a much better version, I mean like not even on the same sphere, just like similar text to what their special actually does. On top of that, Seraphim Mihawk just goes straight into the front lines of this team. He's going to be a really good bench option for a lot of teams as well. Obviously, int teams he's going to thrive on. Slasher teams he's going to thrive on. He's a driven character too, so you can use him on those driven-based builds. You can just chuck him on the bench now that he's 20 cost as well for like any team that just needs some sort of nuking capabilities at the back end of a fight, as well as being very bulky himself to sort of survive the longevity of maybe those last 30 seconds and whatnot. But nowadays, like the Free Spirit team, it doesn't look like anything that it used to with the slashers running around with Seraphim Mihawk, with Whitebeard and Roger. Being able to basically bink 5 units through defense is absolutely wild. Like, it's a disgusting amount of damage. SHAWK is doing 12,000 through defense on a 28-second cooldown. Like, it's mind-boggling. You basically put teams into disarray, big teams too, like the Free Spirit team, like the strength team. And don't get me wrong, it'll probably struggle going up against those RNG builds of like Nami, Karina, and Boa. However, what we can see now in PvP with this 20 cost update, as well as this new PvP legend, is incredibly impressive. Like, it's just absolutely wild. Another thing he does as well with his passive is he actually gets increased damage to Psi-based units. Now, Int has a lot of characters that can do a lot of damage to side, namely stuff like Apu and Urogue. However, with the new 20 cost update for PP Legends, came a new buff where they gave type advantage to the PvP characters. So characters like Urogue and Apu and now SHAWK, they'll do 30% more damage to their opposite color. Stuff like Raizo Shinobu is doing 30% more damage to stuff like Dex, and then Kawamatsu is doing 30% more damage to stuff like Int. But this extra 30% is absolutely wild when you are already doing so much goddamn damage with your special. That 2.5 times attack is just absolutely absurd. And if you go and build the team with something like Zoro Sanji in mind, you get a massive amount of haste, and then you just bink Yamato for 16k damage within the first 30 seconds. It's kind of over from there. Like, the team just can't recover. And even with characters like Wano Law that are trying to slow down as Hawk, you can just counteract that with your own CD reducers as well. Remember, like, slashers have so many different options that you guys aren't seeing here. You can use stuff like 6+ Kizaru level limit break. You can use Cracker 6+ level limit break. You can do a whole bunch of bulkier stuff with Shanks Crew and Cat Dog and Carrot Wanda and Bardo Cavendish. The list goes on and on and on with slashers. Plus, they got a whole bunch of new PvP rare recruits as well. If you don't have Zoro Sanji, you can use PvP Zoro. As I mentioned, PvP Brook would just be that last spot on this team, or you probably use him in front of Broly. But you also have stuff like Dory, Shiki. There's a bunch of characters that work exceptionally well for the bench of this team as well. Now, alongside this particular character came a new challenge mode, and honestly, this is probably one of the hardest challenges that we've seen since PvP Pelt. Slashers with Seraphim Mihawk is going to struggle when you go up against other slashers and other teams that just sort of get a better RNG roll. Remember, RNG always favors the brave, and fortunately, the CPU is the bravest of them all. So, if you are going to go up against stuff like Whitebeard and Roger, if you're going to go up against something like Boa and Nami Karina in the same lineup, or something like Hina, Raizo Shinobu can probably be a little bit dangerous as well. But the upside to S-Hawk is that he's completely immune to action bind. So any of those very annoying characters that will action bind you, he doesn't actually worry about it at all. So that's pretty nice stuff. But there is a character on most people's slasher teams that most people should have after the New Year celebration, and that is Zoro Sanji. Zoro Sanji just is such a staple on this slasher team now, and if you guys aren't using him for whatever reason, maybe you're like, I want to use PvP Sanji instead, PvP Zoro instead, just drop it. Like, just please go use Zoro Sanji. Like, they provide so much to your team. Now, as you can see there, we actually got good RNG. Roger and Whitebeard just held on at level 150 and Limit Break expanded and all that crazy stuff, by the way. So, like, that's just to put into perspective how buffed this PvP challenge team actually is. They managed to survive, pop off their special, which guaranteed us a kill on Whitebeard and Roger and Seraphim Mihawk. So we just took out their two biggest damage dealers. Now all we have to do is sort of just wait, let our damage dealers get back up, and just go from there. Another upside to Mihawk being in the front lines, like I said, is running that 8-man team. And I did pull Cat Viper as well. Cat Viper is a int slasher based booster, and if you have 4 int characters on the team, his special gets a little bit buffed as well. And as I mentioned, you have a lot of very, very good PvP slasher rare recruits nowadays, namely stuff like Brogy, Dory, Shiki, who are all int characters, and then you have PvP Brook as well. That works out exceptionally well. And then you've also got Law, you can use Kaku, you can use Pell, you can use Dalton, you've got Smoothie, Strusen. Like, there's so many PvP rare recruits, and now you can actually use them to the full disposal on this slash team. On top of that, you have stuff like Raizo Shinobi, you have stuff like Kawamatsu that you can use on the bench too, or if you just want to go like balls to the wall like Mad Nuki, you could use something like Kuma, and you can use something like King, just because you can. Like, and it's just absolutely wild what the Slash team's outputting now. And I honestly think, after saying Strength is number 1 and Slash is number 1, Strength is number 1, I do think Slashers are back on top. But that's going to wrap up the video. I hope you guys enjoyed this one. If you did enjoy it, bell the like button, hit the subscribe button, do all that good stuff. Most importantly, wherever you guys are in this beautiful world, please remember to enjoy the rest of your day. As always, homies, thank you all for watching, and I'll catch you all in the next one.